welcome to CEC lectures. Myself Dr. Preeti Jagmani from Department of Computer Science, Aryabat College, University of Delhi. Today's topic is dynamic tables, and to be precise, what we are going to understand in this lecture is how are we going to analyze operations of dynamic tables using potential method of amortized analysis. So, basically we are going to perform amortized analysis of the operations of dynamic table using the strategy of potential technique or potential method. So, let us quickly try to understand what actually a dynamic table is. So, in C++ and Java, these two languages and many others obviously supports we can say a data structure which is named as vector. So, basically that is a dynamic array, or we can say that is a dynamic table. So, why we are saying it is dynamic? Because it is going to grow or shrink based on the application. So, that means if my application demands a greater space or a larger space, then it is going to expand itself, and my application demands a kind of contracted space or a less space, it is going to shrink itself. So, that is what basically dynamic table is, and the two basic operations which are carried in dynamic tables is obviously the insertion and deletion. So, why now the question arises, why are we going to perform amortized analysis for this dynamic table? Because if we talk about the technique of amortized analysis or the fundamentals of amortized analysis, let's say we have an application that is going to perform a sequence of insert and delete operations in some order. But if you can see, we do not need to grow the table every time, we do not need to expand the table every time, and so as we do not need to shrink the table every time. So, that growing the table or expanding the table and shrinking the table are some such operations which are not very frequent, that can happen once once within the sequence of those n increment or n delete operations. But what are we looking for? We are looking for we can say proper or suitable strategies for growing the table and shrinking the table, so that my application is going to handle the request of insert and delete in a nice manner. In a nice manner means we do not want to go for expansion or contraction very frequently, because these two are we can say expensive operations. Yes, they are. So, these expensive operations, yes, they do occur, but we do not want to them to occur very frequently. So, we have to have some sensible and suitable strategies for expanding the table and for shrinking the table both. So, what are we going to do? We will say whenever my table overflows and the current table is not able to handle the new insert request, because the expansion is going to happen in the case of insert only. So, when my table overflows and the current table cannot handle the new request, we are going to grow the table. How are we going to grow the table? We will allocate a new larger table. How large it is, that we will see in a moment. We are going to allocate a new larger table and free the space of the old table. That means all the data from the old table will be moved to the larger table. Similarly, if many elements are deleted from the table and we have a lesser utilized space, then it is a sensible idea to reallocate the table with a smaller size, and that in that scenario also we are going to create a smaller table, and we will be moving the elements from the current table to the newer smaller table. So, this is what we are going to do in this thing, expansion and contraction. So, when we say that size of the table doubles as the table gets filled, So size of the table is going to get larger and it is going to get double. That means size of the table expands from 2 to the power x to 2 to the power x plus 1, where my size is always a factor in we can say in the dimensions of 2 to the power k. So size is always a factor of 2 here. And similarly, we also need a strategy for contraction. That means how much table we need to contract if too many deletions happen in a row. That means by what factor we are going to shrink the table. As far as expansion of the table is concerned, we are going to make it double. Why we are going to make it double, that will be clear over after some slides. So the size is going to expand from 2 to the power x to 2 to the power x plus 1. That is what my expansion strategy is going to be for dynamic table. Now why and when this expansion is going to happen, let us see. So basically let us consider a sequence of n insertions. So n insertions, if we on a macro level we perform analysis, we say that worst case time to execute one insertion is theta n, because that expansion that insertion may trigger expansion, because ith insertion is going to trigger expansion, and if we do not have any free slot in the table must be expanded to accommodate the new element. And if we have the new table, then we need to move the contents of old table to the new table, and that movement is going to cost theta n amount of work, and plus one new element has to be inserted, because of which we have which we have got the shortage and we are moving to the newer one. So once for first idea is to move that n elements which are already available, and that theta n amount of work of moving will be followed by one insertion which is going to incur, we can say, theta 1 amount of work. So basically we can say the total worst case time for n insertions is going to be n multiplied by theta n. That theta n is here for 1. So n multiplied by theta n is going to give me a quadratic factor in n, which is theta n square. This insertion, or we can say this analysis, is fine, and the bound is also correct. So theta n square, which is a quadratic bound, is a correct one, but the bound is not tight. Why it is not tight? Because here for every insertion we have assumed that an expansion is occurring, and for that expansion, or keeping in mind that expansion, we have we can say analyzed the all the operations. But is every time an expansion is happening? The answer is no. Every time an expansion is not happening. Expansion does not occur so often in the course of n operations. It is actually occurring at some particular slots, and what are those slots? We will be seeing it in a moment. So here the sensible idea is rather than having kind of, we can say, simple plane analysis, we used to have amortized analysis. And using amortized analysis, what are we going to prove? So the result which we are going to have is that worst case cost for n insertion is only theta n. That means it is a linear factor of n, it is not a quadratic factor of n, and this is a huge improvement, if we can say. That is cutting down from quadratic to the linear factor, coming from theta n square to theta n, is obviously something very remarkable. So using amortized analysis, we are going to prove that worst case cost for n insertions is only theta n, it is not theta n square. So how are we going to do it, or how are we going to prove it? The bottom underlining fact here, or the bottom line here, is this expansion does not occur so often. This expansion is not occurring very frequently, and we have already assumed that n is actually 2 to the power k, where n is the size of the table, we can say. So, table size is always in always we can say a kind of factor of 2 or in multiples of 2, we can say 2 to the power k. Now try to understand the scenario that initially the table is empty and we are going to start with the empty table, and which operations are going to trigger the expansion. So, please understand the operations which are going to trigger the expansions are the only operations, are the ith operations if I minus 1 is a power of 2. That means initially when my table is empty, that is fine. So, the ith operation triggers an expansion only when I minus 1 is a power of 2, and the expansion cost here is 2x, that is okay. But which all operations are we can say triggering the expansion? It is only some operations. And how are we going to define those some operations mathematically? That we will see. So, basically if I am talking about the total cost of n insert operations, so n insert operations, the total cost here is going to be n plus a factor. So, that this n is 1 per each insert. So, we can say 1 unit of time for each insert, and n inserts we are going to do. So, n unit of time we are going to have by the calculation of 1 per insert. And if you can trying to accommodate the cost of expansion, yes, that also we need to do, because expansion is happening. But when the expansion is happening, this expansion is happening at the ith operation if I minus 1 is the power of 2. That is what I have told you in the previous slide. Ith operation triggers an expansion only when I minus 1 is a power of 2, and this you can easily verify by taking initially an empty table, then kind of one slot is being allotted for that, one insertion happens, then the second element comes up and we do not have any space, then that means you need to expand the table from 1 to 2. So, here is an expansion which is occurring, the second element is being inserted, third element comes up, again we do not have a space. So, third element comes up, we do not have a space, and the table is going to grow from 2 element to a 4 element, because we are doubling the size every time. So, from 2 it is going to be 4, third element will be inserted easily. So, is the fourth element inserted, but when fifth element comes up, we do not have space. Then from the table from 4 grows up to 8. Then item number 5, 6, 7, 8 kind of we can say inserted, and then we have the table again grows up to from 8 to 16. So, how many times it is happening in a sequence of n operations? Is essentially, if you can observe the pattern, you can say it is happening only log n times. So, here expansion cost is not going to be for all the n insert operations, it is going to be for all those operations where I is equals to 1 to floor of log n 2 to the power I. And if you can see this second term of the series, which represents I is equals to 1 to floor log n 2 to the power I, this is a series or which ends up in less than 2n. So, 2n for this particular term and n for 1 per insert. So, basically we have less than 3n. So, the total cost of n insert operation even after inclusion of or even after accounting or even after taking care of the expansion is less than 3n, which is clearly an order n term, we can say. So, for n insert operations, if it is order n, so if we can say amortized cost for each insert operation is order n divided by n, which is order 1. So, for n insert operations it is order n, and for one single operation it is order 1, and that is what we wanted to we can say established. But if we can say if we want to analyze this whole process or this whole analysis, if we want to do using the potential function, so potential method says that amortized cost is equals to the actual cost plus change in potential. So, for change in potential we have to define the potential function first, and potential function, what potential function we are going to define for this dynamic array situation is phi of t, which is potential function for that dynamic table t is equals to 2 num t minus size of t, where num t is equals to you can say n, which is the number of elements in the table, and t dot s, which is size of t, is the size of the table. So, one is size of the table, how much it can accommodate, and one is how many elements it is containing presently. So, that is your num t and size t, and my potential function is coined as phi of t is equals to twice into num t, 2 multiplied by num t minus of size t. And initially if you can say we do not have any table, so num t obviously is equals to 0, we do not have any elements, and as we do not have any table, size of t is also equals to 0. So, phi t is a term 0 initially, 2 into 0 minus 0 is in a way 0. Now, we have taken a potential function twice of num t minus size of t. Why such a potential function is being taken? We will be understanding it gradually over this lecture, or maybe other some other couple of lectures. So, potential function we are going to define in such a way that potential associated with the data structure must be positive for all stages, must be positive for all configurations. That means what we are trying to establish here, or what we are trying to say here is phi of t is greater than equals to 0 for all configuration. That is the condition which we need to keep in mind, and believe me, if after the whole calculation, if you want to you can if you want to decrease this potential function from twice of num t minus size t to num t minus size t, this condition will not be satisfied, which says that we need to have phi of t greater than equals to 0. Now, here one thing which is very important here is we have one term which is load factor. Now, load factor is we can say it is a measure, or it is a parameter which shows that how much percentage of the table is being filled. So, that load factor is an standard term which is denoted by alpha, and it is calculated as num t divided by size of t, because we want how much percentage or what amount of table is being filled. That is what my load factor is, and we are going to use this load factor into our subsequent descriptions. And here if we can say if whenever my num t is equals to size of t, now please assume when my num t is equals to size of t, my num t is equals to size of t when my table is full, then in that case we have phi t is equals to num t, because phi t is equals to twice of num t minus size of t. So, twice of num t minus num t is 1 num t. So that is there. That means we can say num t and size of t both are equal, load factor equals to 1, and we can have kind of full utilization of the table is being done, because the whole table is being filled up to its maximum size. Then if we have num t is equals to size of t divided by 2, that means my table is half full, right? Number of elements is equals to half of the size. So we have we can say half full table. In that situation, if you calculate phi of t, we are going to have 0 here. So now what is what next? We need to calculate amortized cost for ith insertion into the table. Now please understand this ith insertion may have is going to be categorized by two situations. Either the ith insertion is going to trigger an expansion, or it does not trigger an expansion. So there are two cases which are possible. So we can say amortized cost for the ith insertion is equals to the actual cost for the ith insertion plus the potential difference, where the potential difference is the potential after ith operation minus potential before ith operation. So we can say amortized cost is equals to C of I plus phi I minus phi I minus 1. And now we are going to analyze the we can say both the cases. That means if ith operation is going to trigger the expansion of the table, or it is not going to trigger an expansion of the table, because number and size in both the situation varies. So let us consider the first case where ith insertion is not going to trigger an expansion. So it's a trivial case where the size before ith operation, which is s of I minus 1, is equals to s of I, because no expansion has been triggered, there is no change in size. As far as change in num of t is concerned, it is having n of I is equals to n of I minus 1 plus 1. So that means whatever the number of elements before ith operation, in ith operation we have performed one insertion, so the number of elements is incremented by 1, simple. And actual cost, please remember, it is 1 for the insert operation, and phi of t, we need not to forget that it is twice num t minus size of t. So if we calculate amortized cost, it is going to be 1, which is actual cost plus twice of n I minus s I, which is twice of num t minus size of t before after ith operation, then the term minus 2 into n I minus 1 plus s I minus 1 is the potential potential of the data structure before ith operation triggers. So that is n I minus 1 as being shown the above, and then we see 1 plus 2 of n I minus s I minus 2 n I plus 2 plus s I minus 1, and if we cancel all the similar terms, we are going to get 3. So this is what the this is what is establishing the earlier result also, and this was actually a simple case when we say that the ith operation is not triggering an expansion. Now in case the ith operation is triggering an expansion, then what is happening? Then actually contents of old table must be copied to the new table followed by one insert. So that actual cost is going to be n of I, because those all the elements are replaced or moved or copied. Now the actual cost is not 1. In the earlier case, the actual cost was 1 because it was a simple insertion. Here it is a copying of all the contents of old table into the new table. So the actual cost is n of I. We need to remember this. The earlier size is equals to the half of the new size, because the operation is triggering an expansion. So we can say s of I minus 1 is equals to s of I divided by 2. That means whatever now the size after ith operation is actually the double of the previous one. And we have n of I minus 1 is equals to n of I minus 1. That is the number of elements which we are going to have here. So, now by putting all these values in the equation of amortized cost is equals to actual cost plus the potential difference, and by doing some simple calculations we end up with the results that amortized cost here in this case also is equals to 3, which is basically a constant, and we need to be careful with the calculations that n of I is equals to s of I divided by 2 plus 1, that replacement we need to do. So, after this simple calculation and replacement which is shown on the slide, we can easily say that amortized cost here in this case also is equals to 3. And so, we have seen the two cases, which is one in which the expansion is happening and another one in which the expansion is not happening, and amortized cost for the ith operation is constant for both. So, for one insert operation, if it is kind of we can say a constant, then which is order 1. So, for n insert operations it is going to be order 1 into n, which is order n. So, for sequence of n insert, the amortized cost is n into order 1, which is order 1, and this is the result which we want to establish, and this has been established using potential method of amortized analysis. So, now we can see once my table expands, the potential associated with it is 0, and when the table is full, the potential is num of t, and in all other configuration the potential varies between 0 and num t. So, we can say phi of t is greater than equals to 0 always, and here we have a positive potential which we looked for. So, in this lecture we have we can say analyzed the insert operation of dynamic table in both the cases, whether it is triggering expansion or not triggering expansion using potential method, and we have established the required result. Hope you have enjoyed the lecture. Thank you.